He plays that long. Shackle heads it away, only to Emmanuel Thomas. Turns it infield. Whittingham with the shot. Oh, what a goal from Peter Whittingham!
He does what he wants! He does what he wants! Peter Whittingham! He does what he wants!
Great video.
Touching. A somber moment.
Yep.
Hey guys, welcome to the Andy Campbell Show, episode number. See, I didn't even know what episode number it is because I've had a proper stress and then 33. Welcome.
33.
It's 33, and obviously we had the new introduction with the news, the tragic passing of Mr. Peter Whittingham, obviously one of Cardiff City's greatest players and one of the Championship's greatest players. And you can tell just by the goal, which was in that little clip at the start. Players, yeah, not many footballers could have pulled that off. So, as usual, you can find all our video podcasts at youtube.com/ACE Podcast Nation. All the audio shows at the usual podcast and radio platforms and apps, as well as many other things. We've got the Danny Batten MMA show coming out Wednesday. Friday, I've got My Story episode 2 with Mr. Reese Weston. Thursday night, I'm recording an unscripted, uncensored with Mr. Super Kevin McNaughton himself. So you can all, there's posts up all over our social media. It's going to be good. So you can get your questions and everything in there. And today I am joined not only by Mr. Andy Campbell, but also by sponsor of the show, Mr. Alan Jones, owner of Away Day Apparel. Welcome, guys.
How you doing?
Hello, mate. Nice to see you all.
Nice to see you, and I put my hat on, so I haven't got the same ginger glow as you, mate. So
it's just the heat. It's just the light in the air. It's just the light in the air now. Light in the air.
Yeah. We have his band at 2 in the morning, don't we? That is nuts.
Yeah. You look like
yes. So we are joined by different what are they called? Different squad of people today. But that's all right. It's all good.
I don't want to stay
before
for
we
too
get
long, so go
no, that's all right.
I don't want to stay
I was just going to say,
mate. I was just going to dip in and out. Go on, you say what you're going to say, and then I'm gone. I leave you and Andy to talk about 2 weeks of no football, so it'll be interesting.
Yeah, basically, like, we're going to start the show off talking about Peter Whittingham and some memories about that. Obviously, you sponsor the shows and you sponsor some of my other shows as well. So, really, I wanted to hear from you about what the post which you put up, I think it was yesterday or the day before, just about your tribute to the man himself.
I heard about his untimely death, unfortunately. I think Terry Phillips dropped a bit of a clanger by leaking something, but I'd had a phone call that had come via Dave Jones, then on to Oliver Jana, who's still in contact with a mate of mine, and he contacted me and he said, have you heard about Whittingham? He's had a nasty bump, he's in hospital, doesn't look good for him. And then subsequently, we had the tragic news of his passing, but again, lies spread quicker than the truth. But it was a horrible day. Such a young age. I still can't believe he didn't have a club. But God rest wits. Love to his family, Amanda. Sorely missed by us. I can't understand why Blackburn Rovers haven't put a statement out, considering he was their player. It's been left to us, but he'll forever be in our hearts. So. Rest in peace, Wits. So that's from the bottom of my heart, anyway.
Lovely words.
But I was in London last week, sat with my designer, AD, and we're finalising some of the products that are ready for launch for the summer. And as a tribute to Peter, we were coming up with pocket closure designs for the cargo shorts. And I looked at the design that was in situ as a typical cargo short pocket closure with 2 buttons along the top. And I said, how about we put a number 7 on this pocket? So we got 2 buttons along the top and 1 down the bottom of the inside leg. So it basically is sewn on the outside seam of the shorts. And it looked like a number 7 on the front of the shorts with a popper at the bottom. So it's actually pickpocket proof, and the only way into that pocket is more or less touching your bollocks with your right thumb and getting in through your groin. So it is in tribute to Pete. It is also very practical and pickpocket proof, and we are going to launch that range of cargo shorts, and they're going to be called the Whittingham range. So I hope that doesn't have an impact on rival clubs, not buying into the idea, because of, the clubs he's affiliated himself to in the past. It is a little subtle touch, but practical. So it's something I thought I could do as a fitting tribute to magical moments that I shared watching that man with the magic left foot. So that's it, really. That's all I had to say. So
fair play to you all. That's
Spot on. Nice touch, mate.
Yeah. We're also looking
Excellent
at a T-shirt. Maybe do a T-shirt when he does what he wants. I'm looking to fit a few ideas, but the short idea was a collaboration with me and A.D. Wollaston. It was something that he had sort of touched on with Timberland many years ago, but it was something that they didn't patent or didn't use. And I saw it on something, and I thought, wow, what if that will work perfectly on these cargo shorts? And the unfortunate timing of this just spurred me to think, well, that's it. These shorts are going to be called the Whittingham. So that's something, I hold dear to my heart. So there we are.
Fair play.
Top man, mate.
Lovely,
Lovely.
Excellent. Lovely gesture. Lovely, yeah. Amazing.
Here we are. So I leave you guys to talk about nothing now, about darts or coronavirus.
No, we got loads to talk about.
We just look at each other.
About you.
We just stare at each other's eyes.
I've released a few of the T-shirts as well this week. I don't know if you've noticed on the website. I've had to go ahead to release some naughty stuff that I wasn't allowed to do before. One of them I'm sporting currently. I won't take my top off now in case my belly gets revealed. But if you look on my personal Facebook profile, I have it on. It's controversial.
I've just shared it as well, Al. It's
cheers, and you always share my stuff. Good. I appreciate it. I'll send it up for you, mate. See how your ex-missus
all over it.
She'll love that. There we are. So that's over now for me, guys. Enjoy your show, all right?
Top man.
Top man. See you soon,
on Thursday, hopefully, to speak to Kev, all right?
Cheers, Al.
Yeah, man.
Cheers,
top man.
lads. Adios.
See you, mate. Ta-ra, buddy.
What a fella.
Top man.
What a fella.
Top man. Nice tribute.
Yeah, lovely, mate. Yeah, it's been an awful week, awful year, awful. It's just been it's hard to put things into words. Side, to be honest, isn't it? It's difficult because we didn't start the year very well, and then things seem to go from bad to worse, and I just feel really, really sorry for family, for friends, for every player who's come. You know what I mean? It's just such a young age to, you know what I mean? It's such a tragic way to lose your life, and you know what I mean? It's just I feel so sorry. You know what I mean? I wasn't fortunate enough to play with Peter, but I met him on a numerous times after games, before games, charity games. Kev's testimonial, and just an absolute gentleman, and just someone who recognised what I'd achieved at the football club, and just a genuine nice fella, and I can't speak highly enough of him. And he's going to be sorely missed by everybody, and he just shows that just what how in high regard he's thought of by everybody, because I've not seen one negative comment, bad word. You know what I mean? For every club he's played for, from every player he's played with, and every football fan around the world, and you know what I mean? And especially some of the comments, and it's come on some of the things that we've shared on Facebook about about the goal he scored for Cardiff City in the quarter-final FA Cup against Middlesbrough at the Riverside, and that day he was something special on that day alone. And, you know what I mean, the Middlesbrough fans don't forget. You know what I mean, Middlesbrough fans remembered that day because, you know what I mean, we were going places, and Cardiff obviously pipped us to a semi-final place at Wembley, and then the rest history. You know, so it's, you know, I mean, it's nice that rival football fans can just take a step back sometimes and just appreciate how good of a footballer he really was, because he was something special.
Yeah, the thing which I am reminded of that particular game is I was in hospital recovering from stomach surgery. So I was in Landock, and I was in this room, like at the bottom of the ward, in just a wheelchair, like watching it. And there was a couple of Borough fans watching it, these two old guys, because like the ward where all the gastronomy and all the stomach stuff tends to be like kind of older guys. And you know, I was just like this young guy, and I had like stitches and stuff, just jumping around all over the place, like pulling my stitches out. But I mean, it wasn't just the goal. His overall performance that day was superb. Yeah. Obviously, like Gaz just saying there, that's a great idea from Away Day Apparel. Great tribute, which I completely agree with. So it's a good shout. Who else we got in the live chats? Johnny's here as usual. I'm pretty sure he waits here like all week. Just stays in the live chat. Who else we got? Leslie. Evening.
Check my mirror out.
Yeah, nice mirror. But what I will say, well, that's it, mate. It's for me to do my hair in from here. But yeah, so you've been in work today, haven't you? But obviously,
yeah, surreal day today, because it really opened my eyes today of how much a mess the world's in, and Britain's in, and my local area's in, and my school's in. We had 19 children in today out of a school of two schools, by the way. We had two schools in one school, so we had 19 children in from around 400 plus, 500 plus. So it just shows how much we're relying on parents, we're relying on children, we're relying on each other, and to get each other through. And you know what I mean? I just hope we all come through this safe and healthy, and everyone's family, just everybody, and it's not even they're not even going to categorise anybody, because there's too many people getting poorly, losing their lives out of this, and it's so upsetting. And you know what I mean? I know, I've heard a rumour that in 45 minutes time there's going to be a huge announcement made. If that's true, it's true. If it's not, we crack on and we go another day and we do what we need to do. But for me, you know what I mean? I don't like to talk about it because I'm not an expert. And I said last week, you know what I mean? I'm not the kind of person who gets embroiled in a conversation about something that I'm not comfortable with or happy with. The problem I've got is at the weekend, I didn't step foot out of my house apart from going shopping for essential stuff and food, which I don't have in the house. So when I see pictures of people going out for the day with the family and doing this and doing that, it just makes me cringe and makes me angry and upset that it's no wonder it's getting worse, or no wonder it's getting no better, because we're just not helping the situation, and we're not helping each other, because I couldn't live with myself if I made someone else poorly. You know what I mean? I've got a pregnant girlfriend who's obviously not far away from giving birth, and it's not worth a risk. I wouldn't expect her to go out the house. I've got kids myself. It's just not healthy. It's not fair. It's not. You know what I mean? You've got to have morals in life, and you know what I mean. And my morals are to look after myself and look after as many other people as I can. And if I've done that, then great, and I'll continue to do as best I can, because I can't do a lot. There's not a lot I can do. I'll keep going to work and helping the kids out if I can and when I can. But you know what I mean. And I'll do what I'm doing now. But you know what I mean. You can only one person. You can't save the world. And you know what I mean. But if we all did our little bit, it would just chip away and help everybody and help this country, other countries, because it would help eradicate what's going on.
Yeah, I'm going to circle back to this a minute, mate, just because I've got a few things to say about it, and I'm going to put it into some other stories about football and some other bits and pieces. I just wanted to talk about Wits a bit more, really. obviously, like I mentioned, that goal at the start, I was a bit flustered at the start, so I apologise for everyone, because I came on to sort of go through a couple of things with Andy and Alan before we started. And I discovered that obviously it's the first day of homeschooling today. And I discovered that my son, when he was using the laptop, had unplugged everything, all my mics and soundboards and stuff. And I was not impressed. So I was like sweating and stressing. So I was all over the place right at the start. So yeah, I apologize for that. But my main thing is like that goal in the clip at the very start of the show. There's not many footballers who could have done that. And I think you'll agree with that, like as a footballer yourself. And like I was half tidy as a footballer till I discovered women and girls. But like a volley is one of the hardest techniques in the world to do. And that's not like I could have picked several goals to go in that clip. Yeah. I picked that one because it's one of my favourite Cardiff goals of all time in terms of just with nothing really on it, just in terms of a goal, just because of the build-up play and everything. But just the quality of the man, like there's not many people who can pull something like that off. Even in the Premier League now, there's only a handful of players who'd be able to do that. And
the thing what I like about him is you've just said a little bit there that it's his consistency for me. That we see the goal he scored there. Like you just said there, that could have been 6, 7, if not 10, 12, 15 of them, because it was all of the time. It was consistent. Everything was outside the box. Everything was well struck. You know what I mean? He could make a compilation DVD himself of goals of the season or goals of a decade, because his free kicks were outstanding. It wasn't just a one-off where he luckily put one in. It was free kick after free kick from wide. And bear in mind, he scored 85 goals for Cardiff in 400 and something games. 400. I've got it down here. 413 games, 85 goals. You know what I mean? He played centre midfield, he played out wide, he can play fullback.
That's Paul Scholes numbers, mate.
You know what I mean? And that's not including the goals he set up as well, by the way. You know what I mean? So assists on top of that. Do you know what I mean? It's no wonder Cardiff City in that era got promoted to the Premier League, went to Carling Cup finals, went to FA Cup finals, went to playoff finals. You know what I mean? They went to those heights because of him and because of the influence he had on that football club at the time. And you know what I mean? He's a very talented footballer. You know what I mean? And I'm going back in the day when he first came through at Aston Villa. I remember him playing for Villa. You know what I mean? I was probably leaving Middlesbrough when he was first coming through as a 16-year-old boy at Villa, and you know what I mean? You could tell then you always notice people with the left foot. You know what I mean? Because they're a lot sweeter than everybody else. They have better technical ability than the majority of the players, and he had that in abundance. And you know what I mean? To go with it, being the nice fellow what he was, just makes him even more likable. You know what I mean? Because I've not come across anybody who's got about him.
There's a few people in the live chat asking to play it again because they missed it, so I'll play it, but I'm going to cut it off after the goal just because otherwise there's like a massive delay where I've got to wait for it to finish on mine. But I'll play it again for people. For the people, he says, I don't even know if it'll play at them in the middle of the show. I've never tried it before. Is it playing? Anyone tell me if it's playing?
It's not for me. I can't see it.
Maybe I can't do it in the middle of the show. There we go. But like you say, he scored so many goals, so many quality goals. But it's the performances, the consistent assists, season after season after season. Yeah. And I agree with that. Something Alan said. He said that he's surprised that Blackburn hadn't put out a statement about it. I find that. I don't want to go on a big rant about it because I want to stick to paying tribute to a great man like a magic footballer. But I find it, pick my words carefully, distasteful that they haven't. He was playing for him a couple of months ago.
Disrespectful. I spoke to a Blackburn Rovers player, current Blackburn Rovers player. Was the day before the announcement came out that he died, that I found out he was in hospital, and just to find out if all these rumours were true, and he told me that he knew a few players who were talking about it earlier on in the day, and it was true, and it wasn't looking good, and I just thought, and I kept refreshing Blackburn's feed, looking down, you know what I mean, they were putting coronavirus on and other things on their feed on Twitter, and it was just, I just found it a little bit disrespectful because regardless, say if you've played one game for that football club or 450 against that football club, you're an integral part of that football club. You know what I mean? Because you've wore the shirt and you're a big part of it. And I just don't like it, and it just doesn't sit right with me that, because you know what I mean. He decided to go there because for whatever reason, and you know what I mean. He didn't play as many games as he did. He picked up a few injuries, but even still, the football club has a right to and a duty of care to tell people what had happened and just pay tribute to an ex-player who's tragically lost a life, and they didn't do that. You know what I mean? And
still haven't, as far as I'm aware, they still haven't.
Man, it doesn't sit right with me, that, because I just don't like it. It's not really. It's not nice. It's not nice. I wouldn't like to think that. You know what I mean? If ex-club of mine didn't pay tribute to me, good or bad. You know what I mean? And it wouldn't be bad, would it? But
yeah.
You know what I mean? Good. You know what I mean? I just don't get it. I just don't like it. I just don't like it at all.
Even if say I don't know, had he left? Did he on a free? They terminated his contract or whatever? I'm not sure.
I don't know. But
assuming
he hasn't played a game for a club since. So his Blackburn Rovers was his last professional football club.
So even if they left on like terrible terms,
yeah.
Craig Sullivan there just said they have put a statement out now. But obviously both me and you have missed that. Yeah. But they took their time. I'll say that much. But it kind of takes away from my point. Obviously, if they've put out a statement, then good. That's the way it should be. They should be paying tribute. And I'm glad they have, because that would have been, like I say, distasteful and a bit shocking. But I want to focus more on him, as not just as a footballer, as a person. The consistency of the man for Cardiff, like season after season, it was just assists in double figures, goals in double figures. He was, you never saw him getting in trouble. You never really saw him getting sent off or really booked for anything. He was just a model professional. Yeah, by all accounts, a fantastic human being. And it, obviously it's a tragic end. What I find quite upsetting as well, on top of it, is that he didn't get his Cardiff City testimonial. And I would like to say that I would like to think that I really hope they go with doing something along those lines as soon as they can. Obviously, it's further complicated with everything that's going on in the world currently, because there's not going to be any football for the foreseeable future. Yeah. But I'd like to think that when the opportunity is there to do it, that they'll try and sort that out, whether it's a testimonial or some sort of charity match or something, just to I suppose it's difficult when the player's still playing, but like you say, he hadn't played for Blackburn for a while, so he hadn't played for a while. It's difficult really to understand why they hadn't done it, but I suppose you never know. There may have been plans in the works, or prior to his passing, for the testimonial, but I hope they can sort something out over there.
Somebody put something about a charity game being played with ex players, and get all the get all the likes of our lot against obviously Kev's lot, and and have a proper game between probably the two most successful eras in the recent history of the club. Regardless, obviously the current players, obviously they wouldn't be involved. So I think it just to give something back, and maybe the money going to charity or the family or whatever. You know what I mean? And it just make a difference to everybody, and give people a chance and opportunity to celebrate his life, because obviously it was, like you said, the testimonial wasn't given for whatever reason, and then there was no chance for fans to celebrate all the good work that he'd done, which obviously isn't great.
No, they one goal which always sticks out to me, and I on the spot now, I can't think. I'm sure it was in like a playoff semi-final. It was like a free kick where he takes the keeper by free kick from the right wing, and he takes the keeper completely by surprise, just with quick thinking, takes it quickly, and he just whips it into the near post, and it sneaks in. I think my mind says Leicester, but someone in the live chat might be able to tell me.
Leicester, yeah, definitely, yeah, Leicester. I watched it the other day. I think Cardiff were wearing yellow on the day, and he took it from the obviously the right hand side, Cardiff's right hand side attacking, and I think everybody thought he was gonna whip it in and and set a cross up. And then all of a sudden he beat the goalkeeper near post, and I'm sure it must have been Kasper Schmeichel, because I don't think it was too long ago.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
So yeah, it was a fantastic goal, but just something where you watch it and think, that doesn't surprise me. That doesn't surprise me. That he's just done that. It's just a natural thing that Peter Whittingham did and does, and just fair play to him. Fair play. I wish he could do after things that he was able to do with the football.
Mm. Well, earlier on, you were saying about his stats, so his goals per, like, how many goals he scored for Cardiff, and I compared him. They're like, I said they're Paul Scholes stats, and in terms of the goals he scored, they were very similar to the type of goals Paul Scholes used to score. In that, so often, or very rarely, you would see him score a simple goal or a simple tap in. They always seemed to be 30-yard screamers, or curling or volleys or whatever it may be. But often they weren't. It wasn't like you just get like a 30-yarder out of him, maybe once or twice every couple of months. It was a regular thing. Like, he would score fantastic goals on a almost monthly basis. Every couple of weeks you'd see him scoring goals, and because he's not like one of the, what I call it, like a chest beater, like where he's shouting and screaming, and what people determine are leaders. But I actually think he was one of the biggest leaders in that dressing room at the time, simply on his just consistency of playing at a high level.
Yeah.
And he dragged us through games. He scored braces and scored goals where he just kept the team going, kept the team in games when we weren't playing well, got the team back in games that we were losing, or where it was 0-0 and you needed a goal, or you were drawing and you needed a goal. And I think that sometimes people get lost in this, particularly in today's modern football. Everyone thinks a leader's got to be like shouting and telling everyone where to go, like a John Terry or a Roy Keane or whoever. But that's not the only type of leader. Leader can be someone who just performs week in, week out, constantly at this sky high level, which drags everyone else up. And that's what he was about.
I'll progress that on as well, further side for me, because when I hear people say about being brave, you know what I mean? You just said there, Roy Keane. Roy Keane was probably one of the bravest people I've come across in football. That he went into every tackle. But braveness is not just about winning tackles and winning battles. Being brave is wanting the ball in every situation, good or bad, in defensive situations. And he wanted the ball every time. He wanted to make something happen. He wanted to push the football club to another level, and he made the team tick. He made it tick by wanting the ball, by spraying balls about, by wanting to take free kicks, by wanting to take corners, by wanting to take penalties in pressure situations. And it just shows how good he was, and just how just superhuman. You know what I mean? And how much of a big effort it was for him to get all them goals, because it's just an absolutely unbelievable achievement.
Yeah, I completely agree, mate. Craig Sullivan just said that, I left that up there because I didn't want to forget. He said that we should do something as a club, because it's sad we can't actually show any tribute. His funeral will obviously be very restricted because of the just the way the world is at this very precise moment.
Yeah,
it's going to be only close family, which it is a shame, but hopefully the club and the club's fans and his other clubs can pay tribute, because I know he's actually very popular with Aston Villa fans. I know a Villa fan who was really, really disappointed he used to live in Cardiff at the time Peter Whittingham came down to Cardiff, and he was devastated that Villa had let him go, because he was only, he was a young player, he was highly thought of. He ended up in Cardiff, and the rest, as they say, is history.
Yeah.
So, obviously, for anyone who missed the start of the show, we had the owner of Away Day Apparel on just in the first couple of minutes. He paid tribute to Peter Whittingham himself, and he also announced that they're bringing out a range of cargo shorts with a number 7 pocket, which is also pickpocket proof, which is going to be called the Whittingham range, in tribute to Peter Whittingham. And as always, I think it's a lovely touch. It's something that he didn't have to do. You know, at the end of the day, he's something that him and his designer have thought of. Alan and Away Day Apparel, you know, they sponsor every show every Monday. They sponsor some of my other shows. They've given us a code to get 10% off. So I implore you all to check out awaydayapparel.co.uk. The code for viewers, listeners is for 10% off, which will include the Whittingham range and some of the other stuff. The club colours t-shirts, the new t-shirts they've got out is AA Podcast Nation, all in lowercase, and you use that at the checkout at the website, and you get 10% off your order. Okay, so Johnny Wish just dropped in the YouTube chat, but it depends. The people in the Facebook chat won't be able to see it, so I just wanted to put that up there. He said, "What's everyone's favourite Wits goal?" So obviously I've said mine is the one in the clip, obviously, and the one with Leicester was two of my favourites, but there's so many to pick from.
Yeah.
If you guys, is there one for you, mate, which sticks out before we?
Oh, to be fair, I keep looking at that, and it's probably any. It's probably any free kick goal for me, because it's a skill in itself to take a free kick side, and the way that he took it, you know what I mean, the way that he disguised it, the way that he got it over the wall with whip, with power, you know what I mean, that he was an absolute genius with a free kick. And when you talk about the likes of free kick takers, and you're on about David Beckham's, and you're on about people like that, you know what I mean, he's up there with those kind of players taking free kicks, because he was that good, and it just shows it wasn't just a fluke.
Yeah, that's a fantastic comment. I'm loving that. Craig Sullivan just said, Witts is a great pickpocket himself, which is fitting. Not the best tackler, but he knew where the ball was going and was always in the right place to cut out passes. Also, I just wanted to say as well, for people who are wondering why I read out those comments as well as put them up on the screen, it's for the audio listeners, the people who download the show afterwards, because otherwise it would just be like a blank space. So yeah, just for them, that is, just for them. So we started talking a bit about the coronavirus. I'm going to try and keep my blood pressure down now, because people have been bugging me this week. So I went out earlier just for a drive, didn't get out my car, just went for a drive just to clear my head. I was a bit het up and stressed out. So I went and had a little drive, and I drove past a certain area in Cardiff, which I won't name because I don't want to label all those people with the same brush. Yeah. There's kids everywhere on their bikes playing football, and I just thought, you know, it's not a school holiday. The schools are not closed because it's a school holiday. And I don't get it. I don't get why people are just they're just, and these will be the same people, mind.
They're not taking it seriously, Si. They're not, and I think that's everyone's point. People aren't taking it seriously, and if they're not taking it seriously, you know what I mean, that we're going to get punished. Everyone's going to get punished for other people's stupidity, because, you know what I mean, I've got a young child who's been stuck in all day today, and is going to be stuck in all day again tomorrow, and that's without being locked down. You know what I mean? They're stuck in all day again on Wednesday and all day again on Thursday, and you know what I mean, that's without. We went out for a little bit of fresh air earlier on. You know what I mean? Went out for a little walk around the block, just me and her. And I just think I'm not going to be able to do that if other people are being so selfish and so inconsiderate about the whole situation, and it's going to ruin it for everybody. And I believe it is a little bit too late now, but I just think.
Yeah,
I just think, you know what I mean, and they should be absolutely ashamed of themselves.
What frustrates me is these are the same people who will be all over social media next week when the police and the military, or next month when the police and the military are in the streets asking you, where are you going? Why are you out your house? If you're not going to the pharmacy, it's not an emergency, and you're not going to get essential shopping, then you're going to get a fine. And they'll be the same people complaining about that and how it's disgraceful, or they'll be complaining that the virus has spread and the government hasn't, you know, moved quick enough, which they haven't. But now that they are moving, people aren't listening. So it's like, well, anyway, I know it turned it into a political thing. So last week we talked about what to do with the football season. So in the meantime, me and you kind of disagreed on where it should go. Yeah. I think they should bin it and start again whenever they start again. You think they should finish it at all costs to cut a big long debate very short. Obviously, there's a lot of intricacies to it and ramifications from the Premier League down to the non-league and the championship. The championships, the titles, the cups, the relegation, playoffs, Champions League spots, everything. There's everything in between. In the meantime, Rugby Union, I'm not sure about Rugby League. Rugby Union has cancelled their season. I've heard a few rumours today that the Olympics is probably going to be cancelled. The Euros have been moved back a year. Why is it that UFC events and mixed martial art events now being cancelled for the foreseeable future? I know it's slightly different with those because they're not like an ongoing kind of season. But rugby is, the Six Nations had, I think, one game left.
Yeah.
You're talking in the Premier League, or in the Football League, or in the Premier League, just the Premier League. I think there's 92 games left in total. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so.
Like,
you've hardly got any games like. It's a with the news of the RFU deciding to do that. I think just makes a mockery really of for me. I think. Why don't all these governing bodies get together and have a good chat and a good conversation about how the best thing moving forward is for everybody, and just advise other people? Because I think sometimes the Premier League thinks that they're just in it on by themselves, and because there's a bigger picture side. We've got just inside the English Football League, for example, you've got the Premier League, the EFL, you've got obviously all the sponsors, and then you've got UEFA and FIFA, on top of that, who are then governing what the Champions League and what European competitions are doing. So they're being governed, I believe, by them. But whoever's got the biggest say so, and it's got to be UEFA and FIFA. They've got the biggest say so for everybody. And that's from the Welsh Premier League to the Albanian Premier League to the Belarusian Premier League to the English Premier League. And if they come out and make a point blank decision about everything, then everybody can just get on with it and move on. Because at the minute, we're waiting for something to stop, which doesn't just. Well, I know it's only been a week since we last spoke, but things for me have got 10 times worse than last Monday. Do you know what I mean? So things have got worse, and they're still talking about moving things forward and trying to get things played. For me, football has just got to take a back seat and just forget about it. You know what I mean? And when it comes back, it comes back. And do I care about this season or next season? No, I don't. Now it's irrelevant for me now. It's just irrelevant now. I'm just, I listened to Simon Jordan on his interview this morning on TalkSport about asking players to take a 20% pay cut, which would get 170 million pound pot. It would have a 300 million pound fund for every league club in the area, in the 92 clubs, to share that between. That would save clubs going bust. It doesn't look like players are forthcoming about taking a pay cut. There was a story in my local area that a Newcastle United player rejected to take a pay cut, and apparently he's been released out of his contract. I think he was coming up to an end of his contract anyway, but. I don't think the club was quite happy that he refused point blank to take a pay cut, and I just think the NHS.
Sorry, who was the player, mate? I missed what you said. Then who was the player who refused to take a cut?
I don't know. It was a Newcastle United player, so it'll be easy to find out. I'll find it out by the end of the show, and I'll have a look. But he refused to take a pay cut, and they released him out of his contract.
Good.
You know what I mean? But it's, for me,
I don't want to see anyone lose a job, but
no,
good.
I totally agree. But every single player, though, for me in the Premier League. And that could be Championship as well. I don't know, however people look at it, but or have a defer of wages. You know what I mean? If you take a pay cut or defer wages, there's a chance you might get it back if it all calms down in the foreseeable future, or it's spread around clubs anyway, and it's keeping your job safe, because there's not many jobs in the world at the minute where your job is 100% guaranteed with the mess that we're in. You know what I mean? There's people losing businesses. There's people on 0 hours contracts. There's people hourly paid. There's people self-employed. You know what I mean? These people, basically getting shafted by everybody, and how they're going to pay the bills, how they're going to live, how they're going to feed their families. Do you know what I mean? So I think for me, football is irrelevant, and the least people could do is take a pay cut and put that money towards. It's keeping it in football size. I'm not saying give it to the NHS. I'm not saying to give to things which I believe we should do, but that's another story. But it's keeping the money in house within football, which will save another Bury, another Bolton, another Portsmouth, another Wimbledon. Do you know what I mean? We all love football, but we all love the 92 leagues, the all 92 clubs in the football league. We don't just love the Premier League or the Championship. You know what I mean? Some do. Some are just Premier League. But I love the FA Cup. I love the Coca-Cola Cup. I love whatever it's called now. I love anything. I love promotion, the playoffs. And if we're not careful, we're going to lose a full league by teams going bust, because you see clubs dying on the backside doing fundraising events. But how do you do a fundraising event when you're not allowed anybody to attend? It's impossible. Yeah. Nobody can raise any money. The only people who are safe now are people like Salfords, who've got multi-millionaire backers. Do you know what I mean? And fair play to them. But the likes of Bolton Wanderers, who've been in turmoil for years, this is going to finish them off. If they come out of it, then I hope they do. It's one of my ex-sides. But you know what I mean? Non-league teams who are losing, the only revenue what they get every other week is attendance, because the players are still getting paid because they're on FA contracts, and that's the only income they've got. And if they don't get paid, they don't pay mortgages. And I get this, but Premier League players, 20% pay cut on somebody who's on 20 grand a week is peanuts. You know what I mean? In comparison, someone on 100 grand a week is even. It's just. You know what I mean? We've got to now start helping each other as long as helping ourselves.
Spot on, mate. I just wanted to say, before I go to Leslie's comment there, nearly every single Premier League footballer, nearly every single one, earns more in a month than the majority of us get in a year. Whether that's NHS workers, the people who are holding this country together now, they don't get in a year what some of these footballers get paid in a week in some quarters, but generally speaking, in a month, they get more than what these people get in a year. Yeah. Now, you're telling me they can't live on half of that for 6 months, for a year? I mate, there's people out there living on flipping 150 quid a week benefits, or there's 150 quid a week statutory sick pay, or the self-employed people who are currently going to have to live on nothing the way the announcement's gone. I don't believe there's been an announcement yet about that. No, sorry, these footballers can't take a pay cut.
It angers your side, doesn't it? You know what I mean? And you know what, Simon Jordan, right? I was quite a critic. I didn't like him when he owned a football club. I thought he was quite obnoxious. He seemed very self-centered about his football club. That is the most important thing. Blah blah blah. But you know what? Since he's come out of football, I think he talks real sense. He spoke about the Netflix idea to save people money, but raise the profile and put more money back into football. He cares about football. He cares about every single one of those 92 clubs. He cares about moving football forward, and not just Premier League, because he's been at the football club. He's owned and bought a football club. He's sold his football club. He knows what it takes and how much it costs and how much people earn and how much they could save going forward. You know what I mean? Because if Tottenham Hotspur, Newcastle United, Norwich City don't play for the rest of the season, they've already had the Premier League money. They've already had the season ticket money. They've already had the shirt sales. They've already had money. The only money they're going to miss out on is 9 games, potentially, of programs, burgers, merchandise. You know what I mean? But on a smaller scale, on a match day thing. They've had all the big money so far. So, you know what I mean? Why can't somebody just sit down and just? Well, yeah. Because the thing is, also, if you put that to all the players and said, listen, the offer there is to give agree a percentage of your wage, and we're going to put it in the pot. And if you didn't do it, how ridiculous and how stupid are you going to look? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
How
spot on.
greedy? How greedy would you look? You know what I mean? Because, bigger picture. When you die, you can't take your money with you anyway. So you know
No.
what I mean. So
And all right, here's another bigger picture for you. If the country completely collapses, won't really matter how much money you got, will it?
exactly. Banks collapse. What chance have you got? Doesn't matter where your money is. They're going to draw it all out.
But on a slightly less apocalyptic note, like obviously, I want whoever, the clubs, the players, whoever, the leagues, the PFA, the LMA, FIFA, UEFA, I want them concentrating on teams from around the world who live week to week, who are going to be in genuine threat of going out of business, prioritizing them and coming up with ways like what Simon Jordan came up with to save those football clubs around the world. Because let's face it, your Bayern Munichs, your Dortmunds, your Madrids, your Barcelonas, they could do the same. However, last point I'll make before I go to what Leslie said, I read an interesting article which Barcelona have asked players to take a pay cut in this time because their wage bill is over 1 billion euros per year and they can't afford it.
Well,
So if Barcelona can't afford to stay afloat in this time, in this period of uncertainty, what chance of, I don't know, Grimsby got? Or I just plucked them out. I couldn't think of a football club, so I just said the first one. But whoever.
Well, the thing is, what you say,
it's frightening, mate.
You see these football clubs cutting the cost accordingly. You know what I mean? I could look around here at Middlesbrough that apparently Steve Gibson spends £1 million a month on out of his own money, and then recoups money back from attendances, which aren't great at the minute, by the way. You know what I mean? Because obviously the football club's in a bit of a turmoil itself. So now he's paying that money out of his own pocket for no games. So he's gaining nothing back. How many businessmen, how many people in the world are going to put that kind of money out of their own pocket and waste it week in, week out, month in, month out, over the holidays, over the summer, when the players aren't playing, and during the season now when they're not playing, and if the season gets cancelled till August, September, till Christmas, whenever that may be, you know what I mean? Surely, you know what I mean? Chairman's what they're going to do? Worst case scenario, chairmans might just turn around and say, "Listen, we can't afford to pay you." Where would players stand? Where would players stand if you know what I mean? Because they can't go anywhere. You know what I mean? So sometimes you're best off offering this kind of thing because it's only going to help your club and someone else's club in the long run. It has to. It's just the basic maths.
Yeah. By the way, shout out to all the celebrities and footballers who are struggling in their 10-bedroom houses with swimming pool and gym, and they're struggling with the isolation. Shout out to them as they struggle through. So Leslie there said last week, Si, you said you think the season will be null and void. Do you think the same this week? Absolutely. And I think it's the only fair way to do it. And also, I will add to it. Last week...
you did say, Si, you said it should be, not will be. You said
it should be.
Should be.
But I will add that last week, I felt that it was the right decision for football. Now, I think it's the right decision for humanity. I really think that it doesn't matter. So just bin it off so every football club knows where they stand. Every football club, open the transfer window now so clubs can sort out contracts and people who are going to run out of contract in this period and just say, right, we're hoping to start in September. We'll keep you informed as we go along if that's going to get pushed further back. But let's just, everyone starts where they were. We're going to split all the money to, you know, however they're going to split it. And I'm sorry to Liverpool. I'm sorry to Leeds or to Brentford or to, you know, to anyone else who's going to get the short end of the stick. I'm sorry, but it's a worldwide pandemic. What do you want to do? You can't at certain points this week, I felt a bit like the Premier League is bending over backwards to try and make sure Liverpool can still win the league. And my point is the same as it was last week. There's more than the Premier League. There's more clubs than the Premier League. There's more clubs than Liverpool. Yeah. You cannot bend over. You can't bend. You can't bend over backwards for one club, for one league. And I feel like that's what they're doing, mate. I feel like they're doing everything they can to make sure Liverpool win the league because they haven't won it for 28 years or whatever it is. I don't care about that. Yeah. What I care about is getting through the next year safely, making sure nothing happens to my friends and family, and there's little people or little amount of people worldwide die. I don't really care about like whether the football season finishes and starts again fresh in September, and deep down, when Liverpool fans and Leeds fans and all the other fans who will give me grief for it, they will realise that it's the correct thing to do. It's the only fair thing to do. You cannot do it another way.
Sorry, obviously, you know what I mean? Listen, I would love the football season to finish. Love it. You know what I mean? And I know it's only been a week since last time we spoke about it and the opinion what I had. I've watched same as everyone else. I've learned a little bit. I've tried to take it all in. But what I've noticed, I've seen things get 10 times worse. I've seen things get 10 times worse, and if they're getting 10 times worse now, then it's not going to get any better very quickly. So I'd love it to. I'd love to be an ending in sight, but. We said I said last week, that you can't just start a football season. They give the date of the 3rd of April. Is it Friday the 3rd of April? That the games that football was banned until. So Friday the 3rd of April. What on earth are they going to do or say? Because you can't just ban it for another 2 weeks. And then see in 2 more weeks.
You've got to make a decision.
You've got to make a decision. So in the 3rd, which is what is that? Is that a week on Friday? Is that right? Yeah, a week on Friday. So a week on Friday, for me, a decision's got to be made. So they've got 10, 11 days time to make a decision, and potentially on that Friday, we will all be involved in a country lockdown in the UK. So we'll all be locked down. So how on earth can they even think about football when we're locked down? Because they won't be able to have meetings unless they do it via Skype, or they do it via what we do, or they do it via anything else. You know what I mean? That for me, it's just getting even more difficult just talking about it, because we're bigger than football now. We're bigger than football. I love football. I'd you know what I mean? I'd give anything to start to be able to play again at the kind of level which I played, and it's what dreams are made of, to be a professional footballer. But I don't see how players can have this much time off and then be expected to go back at the same level and carry it on all over again. It's getting more difficult by the day, because you said it last week. Teams aren't training. Some teams were training. Some teams aren't training. Some teams train for longer. Some teams haven't trained for longer. You know what I mean? So those teams side last week, when you said that Liverpool, for example, Liverpool were probably one of the first teams to stop training. So they've stopped for 2 weeks. So when it comes to the Friday the 3rd, we could be in lockdown. So they're going to go 4 weeks without training, where some teams have gone 2 weeks without training.
Some teams might have 6 players out. Some teams might have 2. Some teams might have players in isolation. Some teams might not. Yeah. How can you ensure that it's a fair competition? I want to highlight what Kelly said there. Kelly's a pharmacist. And shout out to the pharmacists, by the way, because they always get left off the list of when people are throwing out appreciation, rightly so, to NHS workers and to emergency responders and people like that. They always leave the pharmacists out. But when you go into full lockdown, whether it's today, tomorrow, next week, we will. And when we do, Kelly and her colleagues will be going to work, because the pharmacies have to stay open. So people like me, my son, other people's children, other people's families can get their medication, which they have regular. And she says, I love football, but after doing my job in the last 10 days, it's really quite insignificant in the grand scheme of things. Spot on. Just going to read some comments.
It's a privilege. Football's a privilege. Football's one of the privileges that we took for granted for years and years and years, and it's not real life. It's not life and death. You know what I mean? I think the things that are happening right now, currently, are proving to everybody that, you know what I mean, that I never thought I could live without it, and it's difficult. You're bored, you know what I mean. But I'd rather all my friends and family and all people around me stay fit and healthy and live for longer than me being able to watch a few games of football on the TV. And you know what I mean. It just becomes insignificant, 100%. You know what I mean. I'd be happy with the BBC carrying on putting all football on and everybody staying fit and healthy and cracking on, so we can move forward in our lives.
Yeah, spot on, mate. Absolutely spot on. Just going to read some comments because they're building up a bit. So Ian David said, "Nice mug."
Lovely mug.
Nice
Lovely
mug.
Lovely mug.
Lovely mug.
You can also put tea, coffee, water. You know what I mean? Have plenty of things in the side, can't you? You know what I mean?
Lemsip. Anything you want. Richie Thomas says,
"Can't see me." It's that comment's that big. You can't see.
Richie's written an essay. It's a good job. Andy's a teacher, so he can mark it. First of all, no capital letter at the first words. That's disgraceful.
Too many full stops.
Yeah, it's terrible. Get it off the screen. Our older generation have been told to self-isolate for 12 weeks. Australia have mentioned they have a vaccine, but won't be ready till June. That's another 8 weeks cool off, if not longer, to treat people start again. People are dying. FIFA, UEFA, Premier League can step in and support clubs for certain amounts of weeks and months. Spot on. What else we got? Let's have a look. Johnny says, having seen the VAR decisions that Liverpool have had this season, are you surprised that I'm assuming he means, are you surprised they're bending over backwards to try and win in the league? Peaches, welcome Peaches. She says, cancel it, people are dying.
Bang on. Nail on the head right there. In a blunt comment.
Indeed. And I think that's what people need at the moment, is people need some brutal honesty.
There's the news. Harry Kane might be fit for the Euro 21.
There we go. And Joe Allen. And I'm so happy for, I've got to say, if it goes ahead next summer, one of the very few good things to come out of it is that Joe Allen will potentially be able to play for Wales, because it was, it's going to be his last professional, his international tournament probably, which he'll be, young enough to play.
Yeah.
Any others? Got any others? I can't see any others. But if I've missed any comments, guys, because I got a lot coming in on Facebook and YouTube, so just drop them in again as we were talking. So I recorded a Danny Batten MMA show yesterday, and then we basically covered the Cage Warrior show from Friday, which was excellent. That show's out on Wednesday. But one thing we discussed is obviously the MMA is cancelled and boxing's cancelled for the foreseeable future. So we were like, right, do we stop doing the show until everything starts up again? We were both reluctant to do that because we really enjoy it. But also we've been building up each week. There's more listeners, more viewers each week. So we wanted to keep that momentum going. So what we're going to do is each week we're going to cover an old MMA or boxing card, watch it, and then cover it like we cover the other shows. So next week we're covering UFC 1, which is an incredible sight because there was no weight limits. So you got like heavyweights fighting tiny people, and Royce Gracie wins, spoiler, by beating a super heavyweight with some jiu-jitsu. But that's going to be fun. We're also, each week we're asking for people to send in retro boxing or MMA fights, like individual fights, classic fights, which they really enjoyed. They want us to rewatch and cover. So next week we're going to be covering Frank Bruno versus Lennox Lewis, which is it's available on YouTube, the full fight. So we're going to watch it and we're going to cover that to keep the content going. And obviously me and you discuss things that we can do throughout the break and what we can do to keep doing shows. We got a few ideas. We might do a couple of watch-alongs, maybe of some like retro games depending on what games are out there. But I think one of the ideas we floated was either doing a review or a watch-along of the 1999 Champions League final, because I know that's on YouTube in the full thing. And it's just about we'll find content and things to talk about. Obviously, each week when we're doing the championship show, we do any other business where myself and you, and we pick 3 things where we pick 3 stories outside of the championship to talk about. So what we're going to do going forward is we're going to pick 3 stories, non-coronavirus linked, from the sporting or the football world to talk about. Did you manage to pick 3 this week, mate, or did we leave it too late to pick them?
No, I've struggled, to be fair, but I can do it.
Yeah, that's all right.
I can do it. Well,
We'll start it from next week.
We've been locked down, Si, haven't we? We are locked down. Breaking news.
Yeah, that's the official news. Yeah. Breaking news. Yeah. There you go. It's because people won't listen.
Sad, isn't it? Sad that it just kills everybody, that though. Because just really sad.
It was going to come, mate, and it was going to come because people weren't listening.
It makes me angry though, Si, because I've been to work today and there's children at school who depend on us going to work tomorrow, and I'm not sure what the logistics are with being able to go into work tomorrow, because you've got kids who are vulnerable in a not a very good place and rely on coming to a place where they feel safe and feel happy and with people that they trust. And if that's taken away from them because people have been going out, then it's just it makes me feel sick, really.
Yeah, I'm frustrated by it because like even today, there's kids all around Lanishan and there's kids all around Cardiff, just as if it's a school holiday. And you know, Leslie just today thinks that they've said that that's what it is in Spain, is that you can go to the shop for essential shopping, you can go out to the chemist, and you can go to the hospital if it's an emergency. If you anything else, you get fined.
Yeah, well, it just said here, so I'm just reading here. So essential food shopping, medical, travel to work if you're in the front line, nothing else. 1 form of exercise a day. I'm not sure how you're going to work that out. All shops will be closed except food outlets for essentials. And we're locked down for 3 weeks. That's 21 days.
Breaking news.
21 days.
Breaking news. The lockdown is in effect. But, you know, like for some of us, and like we've been doing it anyway.
Yeah, I know. Well, no, so but that's so it's longer than, isn't it? And we've just spoke about there, haven't we? About you know what I mean? Football is irrelevant, but I've just spoke about there about footballers, that those who've been isolating for 2 weeks have now got another 3 weeks. That's 5 weeks. So football cannot start again on the 3rd because we're locked down for 3 weeks. So, you know what I mean? That's going to be, by the time we're not locked down again, that's going to be, football will have been done for 5 weeks, if not 6. So how on earth are you expecting to start a season up again? Because after 6 weeks of a summer break, players have 6 to 8 weeks of pre-season. So it's now just, for me, it's got to be done, I think, unfortunately.
Yeah. So, funny enough, one of the stories that I was going to talk about was Portsmouth footballer Sean Raggett is tested positive for coronavirus.
Yeah.
He found out while he was eating at the pub.
Yeah, I don't get that. So, but if you've been tested for it, Si,
what are you doing in the pub?
You sit at home on your own until you get found clear. You know what I mean? Because I follow Peterborough chairman. I can't remember what he's called. I'm sure.
McAntony.
Darryl
McAntony, is it?
McAntony, yeah. And I follow him. And obviously Portsmouth played Peterborough the week before. These players were found out. So he's obviously very concerned. So he got all of his players tested, and he was massively surprised that none of his players tested positive, because of obviously they played against, you know what I mean. And there was he was getting donkey's loads of abuse about some of his comments, and you know, all he was doing was showing care about his players, because he didn't have to get all his players tested.
Yeah.
Because, you know what I mean, he was showing care about his players, because if he didn't get them tested, and one of them had it, 4 of them had it, 5 of them had it. That means all the family members, friends potentially, all other players would have it. And it's just, for me, it's just that's someone going that extra mile for the care of some individuals. He didn't have to do it. He's not even living in the area. He lives in America. So it's just sometimes is you know what I mean. There's a bigger picture, and unfortunately, not everybody sings from the same page.
No. Yeah, Johnny Wish just said, idiots ruin it for us all. And Kerry said, unfortunately, some people just didn't get it. Without sounding selfish, it will help keep the frontline workers feel safer. And I think that's a big part of it is those people who are working in the pharmacies and the shops. Like I was looking at some of the shops and like the amount of people just crowding around and just no question of social distancing and all the stuff you've been advised to do. So it's like, how safe do those people feel working in those shops so you can still get your groceries when you've got 10 people fighting over milk and eggs and stuff?
Well,
People just don't get it.
I saw it was quite a surreal picture, really, what just opened my eyes. And I know Italy have been through it, and they've lost a horrendous amount of people. And, you know, I mean, people have lost family members, friends, and it's horrific. But they were stood outside a supermarket, and they were all at least 2 meters apart from each other. And I just couldn't believe how educated they all were, how sensible they all were, how patient they all were. And then you see people in Tesco who would walk over the granny for a loaf of bread or a pack of toilet paper. It was just.
Well, the tabloids today. They yesterday they opened up the browsing hour in the supermarkets for NHS workers and key workers, and I think it was Cambridge, Scotland, and somewhere else. The people who were queuing up, like, to when the shop opens properly, they just all ran in the shop and started fighting, and the NHS workers had to leave because they've been told if you're seen at a gathering of people, they'll be suspended. So do you know what I mean? What are we doing? What are we doing? Like, what are human beings doing?
I don't know. And Joe, it makes me laugh that everyone comes on social media and they says all this stuff that it's the right thing to do, but people don't implement it and do what they say the right thing to do is, and it just makes me laugh. And you know what I mean? That people will be complaining now. Social media will be rife. People will be complaining that they're stuck in the house, they can't go out, they've got no toilet paper, they've got no food in. But these people are to blame for what's happened because the Prime Minister came out yesterday and the day before begging people to stay inside, begging people to distance themselves from others, begging people to stop this getting worse. And unfortunately, in everywhere in a big city like you live in, Si, you know what I mean, in a little town that I live in, it's got 10 times worse than it was last week and yesterday. You know what I mean? There's more cases left, right, and centre in where I live, and you know what I mean. We can't keep on making it worse. You know what I mean? There's got to be a stop point somewhere. You know what I mean? I watched a really fitting advert. It was, I don't know if you've seen it, with the matches that the matches are burned along the line, and one just is pulled away, and it just stops. And you know what I mean? Someone's got to be that match to pull away, and thankfully the button's being pressed, and hopefully this might be the start of something positive for Britain and Ireland, and we can move forward as a nation, as a country, as a world, because it's not nice. And bringing kids into this world, we've all got kids, we've all got young families, we've all got friends and family and older parents, you know what I mean, who we all worry about on a minutely basis. But you're not going to stop you worrying, you're just going to worry about them even more. You know what I mean? It was Mother's Day yesterday. Didn't get an opportunity to see my mum yesterday. FaceTimed her.
Me neither.
You know what I mean? FaceTimed my mum yesterday. I did the right thing. I didn't go around. I dropped some flowers around on Saturday when I was passing, but didn't speak to her. Just text her that they're outside, and I don't know. It's heartbreaking because, you know what I mean, these days are significant in your life because, you know what I mean, parents won't be around forever, and some people aren't as lucky as I am to have two parents, and I take it for granted sometimes that, you know what I mean, parents are always going to be there, and things, and I just it upsets me that people aren't taking it seriously, because if I'm taking it seriously for their parents, I'd like to see people would do it for me as well, but obviously not.
Yeah. Well, my mum lives literally 2 minutes around the corner, but I don't live with her, so I can't go there.
Can't see her. Yeah.
I couldn't take the grandkids to go see her. Same with my my mother-in-law. We're really close to my mother-in-law, my father-in-law. We haven't been up there for 2 weeks, but the kids haven't seen him. And then I look on Facebook yesterday, and there's people going over people's houses and for Mother's Day, and I just think, what are we going to do? And someone asked me yesterday, why are you carrying on doing the football podcast when there's no football on? And I said, well, because I enjoy doing it. I enjoy having a chat. I enjoy interacting with people, and we're still talking football, but we're also talking like other stuff and wherever the conversation goes. But also, I want to document it. And while people are at home, I'm going to do as many podcasts with as many people as I can around, doing my kids' schoolwork and my missus working from home, because you don't know where it's going to go. You don't know what's going to happen. No. So let's document it as we're going, and let's discuss what's going on. At the moment, this is the Andy Campbell show, not the Andy Campbell Championship show.
Yeah, but at the same time, we need a bit of normality as well. And the only normality in people who follow us, people who watch this show, is Monday night, 7:30 kickoff. That people join in, people engage for a couple of hours, and if that's taken away from people's lives, that can have an impact.
It's another thing they've lost.
Yeah. Why should we all down tools? You know what I mean? And why? You know what I mean? That things have changed. You know what I mean? That I never have my little girl on a Monday. Never have her, and it was the easiest day for me. I've got her at the minute because of what's going on and things. Because my ex-partner works within the police and the fire brigade and the ambulance. So I'm fortunate to have her a little bit more, which I love it a bit. But you also want people to be safe. You want people to be healthy, and you just want to make sure that everything's all right. But like normality, we've got to carry things on, because my 3-year-old's not got a clue what's going on. So she just wants to go out and play. She wants to go in the garden. She wants Daddy to be there. She wants everyone to do normal things with her. And if we don't run a normal-ish life, then how strange would it be for the kids of different generations? How boring would it be for everybody else? And I just think we've all got that duty of care for everybody to help each other out. And if that's carrying on this show, which we're doing, for me, it's the only way.
Yeah, and we might even do some extra shows. You never know. We'll have to see. Obviously, with your beloved partner ready to have a baby very soon as well. Yep. We might have to draft someone in for a Monday night if she's rude enough to go into labour on a Monday. Well, never ever.
I know.
But I'm sure
that'll be all over that.
Yeah, well, do it on purpose, wouldn't she? I didn't mean that, Sophie. Didn't mean that.
Women, eh?
Yeah. So Johnny Wish asks a question. He said, who's the best, Maradona, Messi, Pele, or Cristiano Ronaldo?
Oh, gosh. If I was having a conversation with my dad would say Pele, but I wasn't fortunate enough really to see any games of him playing, but only videos of highlights of what he did, and as a 16-year-old scoring goals in a World Cup, you know what I mean? That obviously speaks for itself. But for me, Maradona was an absolute legend, absolute hero. And if it wasn't for his scandal, it wasn't for his behaviour off the pitch, I think he would be down as the world's best. Probably simple facts and everything put away, because I think it's only his off-field situations which have just let him down massively. And that goes with probably the pressure that he put on himself, other people put on him on the football pitch and in life, that his expectation of being on this pedestal was just probably too big for him. And but the things he could do with a football, and not just a football, I've seen him do things with oranges and tennis balls, and you know what I mean, and keeping him up and the skills he can do, and it's just a natural talent like that, and to be branded in the same category as Messi and Ronaldo is just amazing. Because if you're on about football ability side, for me, football ability is different to what Messi and Ronaldo are doing. Messi and Ronaldo are just scoring goals. They're elite. You know what I mean, the amount of goals they've scored. But for me, Maradona was just something else. He was just, he could dribble. He could get himself out of so many tight situations, and you know what I mean. He was obviously very small and very, you know what I mean, stocky, but still small in stature, and similar to Messi. But it's just absolute genius. Absolute genius.
I think one of the things which makes Maradona stand out for me is the sheer violent tackles that he used to put up with to try and get the ball off him.
Yeah.
Like Messi and Ronaldo, they haven't got to deal with anything near the level of aggression.
Protected now. They're protected. 100% protected them.
And I just think that sets him aside.
Yeah.
The fact he could do it after being up all night on a night out.
Yeah. Well, I remember, I'm going back Italy 90, Argentina against Cameroon, and Cameroon players kicked him from minute 1 to minute 90, and he got up and got more. He wanted more. And it just shows how dedicated he was. Just to, you know what I mean? I know Messi takes some stick, but stick in a different way. The tackles from Cameroon that day were absolutely outrageous, and you know what I mean. I think they got a couple of lads sent off, but to get sent off back in 1990, you have to do murder. It's just ridiculous, you know what I mean. Whereas now you can get sent off for pushing somebody over and raising your hand. So it's bang on, Johnny, bang on, because that but then we've got to look at the other side of the coin. The goals they score, but technical ability for me, Maradona for me, technical ability has got to be Diego for me.
Yeah, I think Ronaldo's in with a shout because he's done it in the Portuguese league, he's done it in the English league, he's done it in the Spanish league, he's now doing it in the Italian league for sheer longevity and doing it around the world. I think that's what sets him above Messi for me, is the fact that he's done the same as Messi in terms of, you know, stats and figures and the amount of goals he's done for the prolonged period, but he's done it in different leagues, which all of those leagues are completely different, by the way. You know, the Italian league is very different to the Spanish league, and the Spanish league is very different to the Premier League. And I think that's the one thing I think for people like, you know, Man United fans will always say Ronaldo. Liverpool fans will probably say Messi because Ronaldo's links to Man United. Barcelona fans will say Messi. Madrid fans will say Real Madrid, whereas I haven't got like a dog in the fight. And I think that kind of sets it apart for me, is if Messi could have gone somewhere with a Premier League or somewhere to do it for a few years, I feel like that would have enhanced, not that he needs to enhance his reputation, but in terms of being the best ever, I feel like that does hold him back a little bit. You know, Maradona did it for Napoli, did it for Barcelona. Messi's, you know, but then Kelly makes a good point there. She says she respects Messi's loyalty to one club. I agree to a certain extent. However, my one gripe with that these days, same with my gripe with Steven Gerrard, is, I think I've mentioned this on this show actually before, is Steven Gerrard was going to Chelsea until Liverpool offered him mega bucks to stay.
Yeah.
Messi hasn't just stayed at Barcelona because he loves Barcelona. He's on £500,000 a week. Yeah. And God knows what in sponsorship deals and stuff. You know, like if he I don't know. It's not just a love of Barcelona. I'm not saying he doesn't love the club, but
I think sometimes with Messi, I think there's also another picture as well, that there was obviously a tax situation which obviously wasn't great and wasn't looking like it was going to get sorted out. And then on top of that, you've got a club who probably backed him and helped with that kind of situation. Then your loyalty obviously sits there because you've got your parents. I know his dad was involved in the situation as well. So sometimes it's about showing loyalty to a club who's looked after you and your family, and I think he's done that in abundance, really.
Yeah, I think so. Leslie says Ronaldo all day for me. Messi up there, but he also likes Zlatan.
I don't think you can put them in there. I don't think you can put him in the same level for me. He's a world-class footballer, but the world's best. You know what I mean? I don't think you can put him in the world's best. If you ask Zlatan, I think Zlatan would tell you he's the best ever. But that's just the arrogance.
He's not bad.
Listen, he's world class, but that's the arrogance of the fella.
No one else is doing the numbers that Messi and Ronaldo have done over the last 10 years. No one else has done those numbers in history. And I'd be surprised if anyone does them. Not even Neymar, who was like their heir apparent, or Mbappe, or Ronaldinho before him. No one's ever done the numbers that they have done.
Yeah,
maybe the odd season, but not consistently scoring 50 goals a season in all competitions.
But Mbappe, you look at that though. Mbappe, you know what I mean? He's playing in a league in a
pub league,
in a lesser league. You know what I mean? So Ronaldo started off like Mbappe started off in a lesser league. Ronaldo decided to move straight away as a young kid. You know what I mean? I can't ever see Mbappe leaving Paris Saint-Germain probably for the next 5-6 years because of the contract he's on, because Paris Saint-Germain don't need to sell. They're in a situation, you know what I mean, they're probably not going to sell until they start winning Champions Leagues on a regular basis, because the league's won by Christmas normally. So, you know what I mean, they're in another level to everybody else.
Yeah. French, and also Kelly again made a good spot there. She said Messi's never really shown up at international level. He never really plays like he does for Barca. And also Ronaldo has. I know he didn't play he came off in the final, but he dragged Portugal, an average Portugal side, to winning the Euros in France.
And I think Messi's also struggled against English sides in the Premier League. I think it took him something like 7 years or something to score in England. You know what I mean? So before he scored at Chelsea. So I know he's done all right since, but it's a long time considering how much success he's had in the Champions League, because the English teams have only started being successful recently, really, especially with Liverpool. So it's he's had plenty of opportunities.
Yeah, spot on, mate. Gaz says, who do you think's the best English player of all time?
Oh, Gaza. It's got to be Gaza. I don't think, technically wise, you're on about Maradona. Gaza's got to be, for me. He's a genius.
But did he do it for long enough to be considered the best ever?
For me, I've got to say yeah, because I think and then he also tested himself out to go to Lazio, so he went to another level. He'd been in England, so he thought he tried himself out in another country, in a country where at the time was probably going somewhere, you know what I mean, to go to Lazio. And I think he was just an absolute genius. Thought he was an absolute genius.
See, you
could go on facts or side. You could also go on facts and go on players who've won the Ballon d'Or. So you can go on Michael Owen, and you can talk about Shearers, and you know what I mean. So you're on the facts now. So the fact
I can't say, mate. I was going to say I think Wayne Rooney's got to be up there.
Well, your facts on David Beckham, Wayne Rooney, Michael Owen, because of Ballon d'Ors, because of successes, because of trophies, titles, acknowledgements. You know what I mean? You've also got to look at that now, because you know what I mean. Man United were in a bit of a sticky situation until Wayne Rooney come in, and he took them to another level again. You know what I mean? So that he changed the way that Man United were playing at the time. You know what I mean? After losing the Van Nistelrooys and all those kind of players. So
yeah, age 17 as well.
Yeah, exactly, young boy. And then look at Shearer.
Rio Ferdinand.
Rio Ferdinand. Look, I'll start on Shearer. That for me, that if Shearer had gone to a Man United, Man United was successful without him. But imagine if he went to a decent club who was going to win trophies. He's been starved of winning a trophy, personally, because he was so loyal to a team that he loved and what he was brought up on. But yeah, Rio, defender, but defenders never get any recognition ever. But it's such a shame because technically he was probably better than a lot of other players.
I think Wayne. I think Rio Ferdinand's the best England defender of all time, and I know maybe some Englishmen will disagree with that, and they'll say, like Bobby Moore and maybe some others. But I think Rio Ferdinand was just quality, Rolls Royce. I just wanted to circle back to something. I misread Kelly's. It was actually a question. She said, "Why does Messi never really turn up at international level? He never plays like he does for Barca."
I think sometimes you can put that down to the kind of players that he's playing with in the team. I'm not saying the players he's playing with aren't as good, but I'm talking Busquets, Xavi, those kind of players who give him the balls in any kind of position he wants it, and the quality of the pass in good areas where he wants it. And there's not many better centre midfielders in the world than those kind of players. You know what I mean? He can run the final third on his own, but those kind of players give him the ball. But then also, when he's playing for Barcelona, you've got probably 7 or 8 players who can hurt you. So opposition don't know who to mark. You mark Messi out of the game, Griezmann goes and scores a hat-trick, Suarez goes and scores a hat-trick. You mark Messi out of the game playing for Argentina, they haven't got as many backup players to help him out. So maybe that's it's a tactical way, or the South American Copa America, where teams will just kick him to death. So it's there's it's such a different style of football. It's domestic football and international football.
Yeah, I think so. They got some players, mind, Argentina. Johnny Wish says, "Who's the nastiest referee you ever played with or under?"
I didn't like Uriah Rennie. I just didn't like the way he looked at you, and he didn't even need to speak to you sometimes. His eyes were wide open, he'd give you that little stare, and you were quite intimidated and scared of him. He was big in stature. He was a little bit of a man mountain, and he was quite intimidating. I'm glad I didn't come across a cleaner from Italy, because he used to scare me to death watching him on TV.
Yeah. Who was the most arrogant ref you ever played, like under or with? Clattenburg.
I'd probably say Graham Paul. It seems to be everything was about him. You know what I mean? Obviously, old school. Obviously, Jeff did a lot of my games. Jeff Winter. George Courtney was absolutely tremendous, amazing. Used to talk you through games. Used to, you know what I mean? If he wasn't happy with something, what you're doing, he'd speak to you calmly, like a school teacher, and tell you that it's not acceptable. It's not going to happen again on his watch. And you'd respect him. But sometimes when certain people come down with an iron fist, you just lose respect for them, and it's just their way or the highway. You know what I mean? They're the same as players, and the referees wouldn't be as successful as they are without the Premier League being as big, or the Championship being as big. And the referees need the players just as much as the players need the referees.
Yeah. Leslie said Ronaldo had it all, full package, the looks, the physique, and he won and broke so many records. There was a question somewhere, sorry. Leslie said, what did you think about Gaza at Teesside Crown Court in Middlesbrough for a kiss?
Oh, yeah. Apparently... I
don't know what that's about.
Apparently somebody pressed charges of common assault against him because he kissed somebody or something.
On a train or something.
Yeah,
he kissed someone on
a
train.
Yeah, so, you know, I mean, Gaza's obviously got his issues, and
Jake
obviously plays a big part in his life, and, you know what I mean, I hope he gets proper well, as quickly as possible, because it would be a massive shame to ever have that sad news come out.
Yeah. Leslie said he was with Jeff Winter the other day. He's doing well. We had Jeff Winter on the show.
Yeah.
On episode 150.
Top man, Jeff. He's had his health issues, Jeff, over the last couple of years. He's had plenty of operations, and Jeff's a lovely fella. I've got loads of time for Jeff. Loads of time for him. Really nice fella. Good referee as well. He's got his good opinions as well. Like he just loves football. Watches game after game after game. He watches hundreds of games a season. Hartlepool, Spennymoor, Middlesbrough under 23s, Middlesbrough first team, Rangers. He'll watch a game every day if he could. Stockton Town, he'll watch everybody.
Indeed. So what I wanted to say, guys, is in the chat, or if you're downloading or viewing this after the fact as well, because I know a lot of people do that also, is if myself and Andy were to talk about some some retro reviews and talk about some old games or old matches, send them in to us. Send them the games. Like one of the ones we discussed was the 1999 Champions League final, just because of how dramatic the end of it is, and we'll kind of we'll rewatch it and we'll break it down like we would the championship games, just so we've got like a bit of football to talk about. We'd probably do like one a week. So it's not like, doing all the championship games, but we do like one a week where we watch the full game. We'll break it down. We'll talk about it like it's been on at the weekend. And then we'll still do what we've been doing the last few weeks, having a chat about various subjects. We'll do the news stories and the questions and this sort of thing. We'll perhaps pick a man of the match instead of a 2 for 2 and stuff like that. So in the comments in the live chat, or in the comments on the posts, and after you've listened to the shows, or email them or text them, whatever, pick some shows, preferably shows that we can easily matches that we can kind of get access to, whether it's on YouTube or somewhere else, because obviously if we can't watch it, it makes it a bit more tricky. All right, what else was I going to say? There was something else I wanted to talk to you about, and I've completely forgotten about it. But while I try and remember, was there anything else you wanted to touch on, mate?
There was something that I wanted to talk about, and I had it on. I'm sure I sent you on Twitter. Let me just have a little look.
Johnny Wish asks, while you look for that, he says, best City player of all time.
I can only that's difficult for me to answer. I think it's a little bit easier for you to answer. I'll go on my own opinion.
Tell you what, then.
I can go on my own opinion for what I will. And mine will probably shock everybody, but for me, for the influence he had on dressing room, the influence he had on the pitch, the influence he had on supporters, I'm going to go at Andy Legg, because I thought Leggy was absolutely outstanding on and off the pitch, and had a big influence on various things. His quality on and off the pitch, his effectiveness with his long throw, his set pieces, his left foot, his talking, his commitment, his desire. He's obviously got links with Swansea, and just shows that he cares. He's got a heart. He's obviously got a history with the football club, and just he's just an all-round nice fella. But his quality on the football pitch was second to none.
Yeah, it's difficult. There's so many. Cav would be up there for me.
Yeah.
As a leader and as a player. Bellamy would be up there for me if we'd got a couple more years out of him, purely because his desire and his expectancy for his teammates to work at a certain level really kind of, even though we didn't get the best Craig Bellamy as a player individually, he demanded a certain level from everybody on the pitch, everybody behind the scenes, everybody in training, and he lifted the team and the club overall. So he would be up there for me for his influence rather than his actual play.
I don't think anybody ever thought that he would sign for the football club, though. So, you know what I mean? I know. No. Obviously, you know what I mean. He's obviously loves Cardiff City, but you know what I mean. Whoever thought that Craig Bellamy would ever play for the football club and have that opportunity to do that? So it's a dream come true to see him in a blue shirt or a red shirt, whatever colour it was at the time that he did that. But it's a dream come true to watch him play. But then to score, and then the important goal, obviously the goal he scored against Swansea City away from home, just sticks in my memory. You know, I watched the game live on Sky. It was just an absolute great hit at the great time in the game, and you know, he was a hero anyway to Cardiff fans. But to score a goal like that in a game like that just means that he's just so good.
Leslie says, have you got any tips on where you can get some toilet roll? And do you remember Stephen Bell, who played for Boro? Andy, he said he sadly died many years ago.
Yeah, Stephen Bell was one of the best technical players. My dad raved about Stephen Bell, and he was so gifted. It was unbelievable. He was he just used to take players on. He was so technically gifted, but obviously had his own problems off the pitch, and obviously coincided with him losing his life. And yeah, not great. But sometimes the pressure of being a player can get you. You know what I mean? I'm not preaching to anybody. You know what I mean? Because there's pressure on everybody's life. Pressure on people who don't have a job. Pressure on people who have a job. But I found when I played, it was a try, and it's the what to do with your life when you're not playing. I'd call it boredom. You know what I mean? Because you've got a lot of time by yourself. Sometimes you're in a hotel on your own. You're not with your family. It's such a lonely place sometimes. And then you've got on top of it the highs and the lows for me. And the highs and the lows of being a professional footballer were the worst. They were the worst. The amount of times and the amount of hours driving up down motorways, thinking good things, thinking bad things, thinking terrible things about yourself, about others, about is it all worth it? Is this the right thing that I'm doing? You know what I mean? It can be a lonely place, and sometimes I found those long journeys in the car after a game. By the time I got out the car, then I'd sorted the world out. The world was great, and you know what I mean. I was ready to kick on again, and looking forward to training on Monday or training again tomorrow. But some of the times it can be a horrible place where you don't really get over certain games and certain things happen in a game. You know, an example with my daughter was born in Cardiff in 2004. She was born. We played Wolves away on the Saturday. She was born on the Saturday. I didn't play at Wolves at Molineux. We beat them 3-2. I think Cav scored the winner. Obviously, my daughter was born at 5:15, so I would have missed her. So I'm glad I didn't go to the game. But the following week, we played Leeds United at home. I hadn't trained all week. I can't really remember why. I think it wasn't nothing to do with the baby. I don't know what it was. We went to Burnley through the week. I didn't play. Played on the Saturday, started against Leeds United. We got a penalty. I took the worst penalty ever. I wasn't ready to play. I'll be honest. Looking back now, wasn't ready to play in the game. Certainly wasn't ready to take a penalty. And then all of a sudden, you've got to then deal with that situation yourself and how you deal with things moving forward. And I think that had a massive impact in the way that then my future at Cardiff City ended up panning out, because it was like a downhill spiral after that, and it was so disappointing because it was a massive game. I was confident that in my own ability, but it just shows the fine margins in football, and just how disappointed I was because I wanted to score. I missed terribly, and then you go out and socialise, try and get over it, and people think that you don't care because you're in a pub or you're in a nightclub, in a restaurant, and you know what I mean, trying to live a normal life after making a genuine mistake, something what I didn't really want to make, but you try and get on with your life and try to move on. But sometimes it's difficult because these things are life and death to people. But the bigger picture, things like this happening, it just shows that it's just an irrelevance. But at the time, it's that important. It feels like that, and sometimes I can see why people get those kind of thoughts about certain things, because it's not a nice feeling, because the highs are massive, the highs are huge, the highs in football. I've never experienced highs in my life apart from birthing my children as high as that in my life. The emotion, what goes with scoring a goal, what goes with getting promoted, winning a game, celebrating with people who are pushing in the same direction. But then the lows, I've never come across lows like it as well. You know what I mean? It's like losing a close friend or a family member, or it's just horrific. There's no comparison with the highs and the lows. It's just scary, really.
Yeah, I agree. I just noticed that just before we came on air, John Cross of the Mirror put a story out which said the Champions League and the Europa League finals have been postponed and they could be scrapped altogether. They have no there's no further date arranged. There's no, we'll readdress it in May or April, or none of that. It's just they've been postponed and they could be scrapped altogether. I find that fascinating. And we go back to the original subjects that we were talking about. Should FIFA and UEFA be stepping in and saying, right, this is it, we are done?
But who's made that decision, side? That's got to come from FIFA or UEFA.
Well, it's got to be UEFA, isn't it?
So
UEFA, they have to make that decision.
If UEFA have cancelled those two competitions, they haven't just cancelled the final, surely they've cancelled all the rest of the games.
Well, yeah, I would assume so, yeah.
So, because there's no point, is there? So if they've cancelled all those competitions from now, then what's the point of carrying on anything else? Because there's just as many games left in the Champions League than there was in the Premier League. Surely, there's just, you know what I mean? You've still got loads of games to play. You've got two-legged quarter-final, semi-final, final. You've got loads of travelling. You've got, you know what I mean? You've got travelling within Britain for Premier League games, and you've got travelling within different countries for Champions League games, Europa League games. That's just both significant for me, because they're both the same as the same. You know what I mean? Travelling 100 miles and travelling 5,000 miles is exactly the same. You're still moving a potential illness from one place to another and from one country to another. So if that's the risk, if that's what they're trying to eradicate and take out, then for me they've got to cancel everything. You can't just cancel one thing and another thing. And one thing I was going to, you said at the start of the show, Si, about Tokyo Olympics, that they have just cancelled it. Cause I've just read it there on Twitter, because I was just in the middle of doing something at work last week about it and trying to implement something the kids were going to copy at school and things, and these things are getting cancelled, and these things are far further ahead than what we're talking about now. And yes, they haven't started, but people have trained for 4 years. 4 years to do this. 4 years. So the gymnasts have been training since they were 13. They're now 17. For 4 years to do this. So if that's cancelled, I can't see them doing it the year after. It will just go to 2024.
So the Olympics was a funny one, because the Japanese have been very stubborn. They've been saying, no, it's on. We're doing the torch in a couple of weeks. It's on. And then Canada pulled out. And then as soon as the country pulled out, I knew that it was coming, and I heard from a few different people that they said it's going to be off. And fact is, mate, I go back to a point I was going to make earlier and I didn't make it. In the Six Nations, there was one game left. One game. And they cancelled it and they voided it, and no one was champion, no one finished bottom, nothing. In the Premier League, there's 90 odd games left when you total them all up, because there's 10 games left. And you're telling me that we desperately need to finish that season in the climate of everything, really?
Yeah.
Champions League's looks like it's going to be scrapped, but the Premier League, oh no, we can't scrap that.
But the cancelling the Champions League, and then what they're going to, and then what the Champions League going to say? The Champions League is going to say, right, it's only fair and proper that the teams who were in it last year are in it again this year, right?
Yes.
That's the fairest thing. That's the fairest thing for them to do. So, what's the point of finishing the season? Because you're going to have new teams, because it's unfair on the teams who are still in it. Because
spot on.
It's just
how's that?
It makes a mockery. It makes making a mockery of its side to me. Because for me, you've got too many people making individual decisions around an organisation, around a global area, which is football, and not really getting together around a table or around a monitor, because that's the safest way to do it. And just making the right call. And the right call would be everybody to do it at the same time. Or one person deciding and everyone else jumping on board. It's the fairest thing to do.
Yeah, there's no other way to. This was my argument, throughout the show last week, was the only fair way to do it is to just cancel it, start again. There's no other way that doesn't involve completely screwing someone over. I know Liverpool will feel screwed over, but technically, Leslie, they haven't won it yet. So they haven't won it yet. They could still lose it mathematically. So they haven't. I know they will feel like they've been screwed over, but they haven't been. Aston Villa, who've got a game in hand in the relegation zone, haven't been relegated on a different amount of games with a game in hand, etc. Same for, all the way down the leagues. It's the only fair way to do it.
Thing is also we're not right. Listen, this is coming across like we're anti-Liverpool, anti-Leeds. You know what I mean? Why are we anti-Rotherham, anti-Coventry, anti-Portsmouth, anti-Celtic, Salford City, anti
Barcelona, Madrid,
Boro in the conference, because it's going to affect absolutely everybody. This, you know what I mean? Boro are top in the conference by about 9 points. You know what I mean? They will never, ever, ever, in my opinion, do this again and be at the top of the conference, because there's that much money in other sides. How they've massively overachieved and deserve to be where they are. But for some people, they can't see past this Premier League bubble, and this Premier League bubble is just stopping everyone seeing the bigger picture. And the bigger picture is not football. It's not football. Football is secondary. But people see, I can go out, I can do what I want. I want football played behind closed doors because we can't watch it live. So those 22 players plus 15 members of staff, 5 subs, are all going to carry illnesses around the country from one place to another, and we're all still going to get ill.
Yeah, still going to spread. The NHS is still going to get overrun, and everything's going to collapse because we're going to need football. Leslie just said that he thinks that they'll play a few games, and then Liverpool will win versus some teams that have got nothing to play for. But as one of the points you made last week, was that the problem with only playing a certain amount of games, say we're going to play 4 games, so Liverpool can get mathematically, but they haven't played all the teams, so you can't, like Sheffield United, if they win their game in hand in the Champions League spots.
Exactly.
So you're going to tell them that they won't get it though because the Champions League's been cancelled.
Let's focus on the Premier League then, just for now. And I hate just focusing on one league because it's not just about the Premier League. Right. So Liverpool have to play so many games to win the league. Okay, that's fine. So then you need to sort out who's getting relegated. So then all the bottom 5 or 6 who can mathematically get relegated need to play the same amount of games. And then the teams that are getting the Champions League need to play the same amount of games. So it's not just about Liverpool playing enough games to win the league, because why should they get the recognition when Leeds United won't get the recognition, Portsmouth won't get the recognition, Grimsby Town, Swindon Town won't get the recognition, Barrow won't get the recognition. You can't just give individual sides enough recognition, enough games to get enough points to get promoted. Because what about teams who are getting relegated? Because it's all well and good saying to Leeds United, right, you win 3 more games, we'll let you get promoted because you've got enough points. Brilliant, fantastic. Right, so who's getting relegated? Or we'll send Norwich City. We'll send Norwich City down because they're bottom. Well, no, that's not fair because Norwich City could win the last 9 games. Norwich City could win. They could win the last 9 games. So you can't. You know what I mean? There's got to be a fairness, and there's got to be an overriding decision which is fair for every single team. And the way that this epidemic is, and the decision tonight, for me, it's for me, it's getting taken out of everybody's hands, because on the Friday the 3rd of April, that D-Day, we're all going to be still locked down. So football can't happen. So what they're going to do? Say we'll look at it again in a week when we're not locked down. Ridiculous. You can't do that.
It's crazy. And then the fact of the matter is, it doesn't matter anyway. That's my overriding point now. Is it should be cancelled, not because of the logistics of the season. It should be cancelled because it does not matter.
No, it's not. I agree. Now football's irrelevant.
It's about saving lives, saving the NHS, and saving the economy. That's it.
If not playing football, not playing football now saves one life, or
then
it's worth it. You know what I mean? If it saves one life, it's worth it. And I think everyone needs to have that stance.
Indeed, they do, mate. We had another question. Johnny Wish wants to know, why aren't FIFA stepping in and making the decision?
I don't know. They should do. They need to. They must have had enough conversations and advice from health organisations and from different countries and the way that they're locked down, and different countries as in the way that because everything's got to be the same. Everything's got to be pushed in the same direction, and it's not. So they've got to step in and make a decision. Then everyone just follows suit. It's the easiest way to do it.
Yep. Yeah, FIFA have got to make that decision now. They got to just say, right, this is it. Bang, done. Let's focus on saving lives. Yeah, that's it.
Totally agree.
Football. We'll get football back up and running when we know that it's, clean and clear, and we know it's safe.
Yeah, totally.
Until then, it doesn't matter.
No, totally agree.
Look, from a purely selfish point of view, it's better for me and you if the football season's on.
Yeah.
So we can keep doing our, football podcasts, and we can do our championship shows, and et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. We're not anti-football league. We're not saying this just because we don't want Liverpool to win the league or Leeds United to not get promoted. People think this is personal. It's not. We haven't designed all this to stop two football teams not getting any joy. This has happened around the world. This is out of everybody's control. We're talking about our own opinions on something which has got way out of anyone's ever imagination and control. This is serious. This has been serious for a long time, but all of a sudden it seems to have just got more serious overnight.
Yeah, it's grown real quick, haven't it? But like me and you set the questions to ourselves last week was, what is the fairest way to deal with the football season? And we both came up with our views. And in my opinion, the fairest way was to cancel it and start again. I stick by that even more so now that I've seen rugby and the Olympics and everything else go along with it. Okay, so if anyone has no further questions, then we'll start to wrap it up. But I'll give you a couple of minutes if you want to wrap it up. Me and Andy have briefly talked about doing maybe an extra show here and there. Might not be live, might be recorded. We don't know yet, but depends what we do and whatnot. We'll have to wait and see. Obviously, Andy's partner's pregnant as well, which is something we've got to bear in mind. And Andy's also working as well. Which again, so Liverpool are winning the league. Leslie just said, "Si, Liverpool are winning the league, mate." And I said, and this is what I would say: I don't care if Liverpool win the league one way or the other.
Fact,
do not care.
It's fact they are winning the league, but they won't win it. They won't win it this year.
Yeah. What I care about is that Liverpool shouldn't win the league and then screw everyone else from every other league and club just so they can win it. That's it, really. I think, and the only fair way to do it is to bin it, because
every
you can't do it.
Every single pundit, every single football fan, every single person involved in football knows that Liverpool would have won the league this year. So,
yeah,
you know what I mean. And
I came to terms with that weeks ago.
Exactly. If they're good enough and they're as good as everyone believes they are, and I know they can be on the day, they'll win it again next year.
Yeah, but the sad thing is, will Sheffield United be in the Champions League spots next year?
Doubtful, because you said there about opening the transfer window. We want the transfer window. I guarantee you, Chris Wilder will lose 3 players, maybe if not more. So he's got a big rebuilding. His football club will be quids in. They'll make loads of money. The investment will be bigger. It'll bring a few more players in. The football club will evolve a little bit. It'll become stronger, a structure. But I can't see them being where they are, and the same as Wolves as well. Wolves will lose some players potentially to some big clubs around the world because they've got some really good technical footballers in that side, and they're not really in a position probably as strong as other teams to not sell players. So I agree with that. That's a difficult bit.
Yeah, and the other interesting part of it, while we stick on the Premier League, well, also the Championship, is everyone stays where they are. So say Leeds, West Brom, Brentford in the Championship have done very well this year. Next year, Cardiff City won't have the same squad that they've got now.
Mm-hmm.
Because say they cancelled it in the next couple of weeks and they void it and they open the transfer window, you've got a lot of time to tie down contracts, bring in players potentially, or at least get agreements in place.
Yeah.
So the likes of Leeds and Liverpool and all these other clubs, they could have Portsmouth, Rotherham's, they could have big challenges from other places, which obviously brings a whole new thing. There you go. Johnny Wish just says, what will be interesting is next year, United could have Fernandes, Pogba, maybe Grealish in midfield. Could they then challenge Liverpool, which they haven't done this year? You don't know. It's up to them to show they're the best team at the end of the day.
Well, Man United, if Man United had anything about them for me, they go and spend a ridiculous amount of money on a Harry Kane as well, they're a massive centre forward away from me, a guaranteed 30 goals away from doing something and being a real challenger, and that would put the cat amongst the pigeons. That 100%, I think.
Well, I read an article actually. It was a good couple of months ago, which said that United have basically got Jadon Sancho tied up. Red good to go in the summer. Grealish the same.
Yeah,
and Harry Kane has said that if Mourinho's still there, he will go to United as well. So you add Harry Kane, Jadon Sancho, and Jack Grealish to the team they've already got. How far off are they really? I would argue that their first 11, in terms of quality, would be better than Liverpool's. But Liverpool as a team are better. Yeah, well, it's the would they all settle in straight away? Would they all hit the ground running straight away? Because Liverpoul have had a time to gel and move forward and Is Pogba going to be a disruption? Is he not? Yeah. It's never ending, mate. But then there you go. If would you sell Pogba? Spend that kind of money on a Harry Kane and move forward that way. You know, it's a decision. It's an interesting one, isn't it? Yeah. Good decision, though. It's a good position to be in. Good position to be in. If he stays, you've got yourself a world class player. If he leaves, you've got yourself world class money. So I got a feeling he might stay because I think he's going to fancy playing alongside Fernandes because he hasn't had someone of that quality to play with since he's been at United. Yeah. He's been playing with the likes of Lingard and this. Well, next week we'll spend less time on the coronavirus stuff and we'll talk transfer rumours. Perhaps we'll pick up like 3 biggest rumours of the week and we'll talk about what teams can do. Let's get it back to football a bit more. Let's do that, guys, follow Andy on Twitter at Andy Campbell 32. Follow me at ACEcast_Nation. Same on Instagram. Facebook.com/ACEcast Nation. We're live every Monday, 7:30. This Thursday, I'm recording unscripted, uncensored with Super Kev. So get your questions and your topics in for that. Andy, I expect some questions from you as well, my friend. Definitely. Yes, we will see you all next week. Thank you to everyone for joining us. And most importantly, everybody, stay safe. Yeah. And Leslie, I'm going to play the video now because I worked out why I couldn't play it earlier. So to play us out, I will leave you with the Magic Man. And I'd just like to say rest in peace, Peter Whittingham.
He plays that long. Shackle heads it away, only to Emmanuel Thomas. Turns it infield. Whittingham with the shot. Oh, what a goal from Peter Whittingham!
He does what he wants! He does what